Hey everyone,
Hi.
how is everybody doing? It's already wow, quite a few people here. So that's a good mix because it's showing 27 in total and 14 in mine. So we've got a good mix there.
A wee crowd.
Yeah. Shall we do the usual hellos?
Yeah.
So now then, best do it from this one actually, aren't we? So we've got Ramon. Hey Ramon, how are
Ramon.
you? Good to see you. And we have Kat, who's work lurking. I've been there, done that. And then, yeah, I didn't send Chris the link. Sitting here waiting for him to come and join, and I'm like, gosh, she's really cutting it fine. You haven't sent me the link.
Messaging on
Jennifer,
every single platform, every messaging platform you can imagine. I've sent
have
Simon a
you?
message on it saying, I don't have the link.
So when we finish later and I go back to my phone, there'll be like multiple
Yeah,
messages
ping,
from you.
ping. Yeah.
And in the end, it was this chat that worked.
Yeah.
And the reason was just saying I'd forgotten about it, and then Chris sent me a message this morning when I was at work. So did you notice as well? I set it up for 9 a.m.
Yeah. I told you that. I said that. I think you might have said it for 9.
You've sent me that.
Yeah, I said in a messenger, a Facebook messenger chat.
I never picked that up. I saw Sandra message me saying, "Says you're going live in half an hour," or something like that. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah. So this is what happens when you don't plan things properly. And then we've got Jennifer, Rebecca, we've got Golden, Malamia, we've got Robin, Kristen, Saskia, and how do you say that? Is it Raynewend? Raynewend.
Renewing Silverclaw. Cool name.
Yeah, it is. The lovely Naomi's here. Hi, Naomi. And Sarah. We've got Vintage Moon, Delati. Kathy's here. We've got Lisa, Blue Moon Goddess, Trio of Witches. Lovely crowd. Sheila and Grey Hayes. Have I missed anyone? Chris
I don't
or
think so. I think you've got everyone that I can see anyway.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey everyone.
And how are you doing?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, I'm good.
You're fine. You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long ass week. I'll say that. But I'm glad it's done now and finally at the weekend. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
no, doing good. Doing good. What about yourself?
Your weekend, yeah. Your weekend starts for Thursday night, doesn't it?
It should
Yeah,
does.
yeah. I'm good. Fully better health wise, so that's good. Feel great. Work's busy, but it's just that time of the year when you work in education. So first half term is always pretty full on. But
Right.
cold. I've had to put a jumper on. This is the first time I've worn a jumper since like May. Can you believe it? But
Right.
although we're supposed to be having a heat wave at the weekend, aren't we?
Are we? Oh.
Well, we are in England. I don't know about Scotland, but everybody's going on about, it's going to be really hot at the weekend, 20, 24 degrees,
All right.
whatever
Okay.
that
That'd be
means
nice.
in old money. But yeah, so that'll be cool. So we're going to be talking about the fairy tale tarot
Yeah.
this
Baba
month.
Studios one.
Yeah. I can't believe how quickly this is going as well, because when we started talking about bringing back Throwback Thursday, we had a list, didn't we, of decks, and we're at the last one, and we're
This
saying
is the last.
earlier
Yeah.
we need another deck for next month. So is this our 5th? Did we have 5 on the list, or
Let's
I'd have to
see.
find the original?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think this is the fifth. We started with Shimmering Veil, the Tarot the She with the Bright Future. Last month was Witch's Wisdom, and this is
Oh
Fairy
yeah.
Tale.
Wow. 5 months.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
It really does, doesn't it?
Mm.
Naomi says she doesn't have this one and is love fairy tales but don't have this deck. Is this the Baba Studios one? Yeah, this is the Baba Studios one from, gosh, nearly 20 years, about 18 years ago, I think, when they was based in Prague before they moved to Ireland. So it's a bit of a classic. And just to say, right, sorry about the noise, just to say right from the off, this is an out of print deck. It goes for ridiculous amounts of money if it ever comes up on like auction sites. And there's no plans to ever bring it back. And I contacted Karen because I actually talked to Karen quite regularly on messages, and I asked her a couple of years ago, would you bring back the fairy tale tarot? Because, well, I'll explain a little bit later the reason why. But she was like, no, there's no plans to bring that back. And actually, the next deck, which will be the redone Bohemian Cats, is their final deck because they're leaving the tarot world to focus on other projects. So yeah, but we decided that we wanted to do it because it's a beloved deck, and it doesn't often get the attention either, because I think it's because it's one of the older ones, and a lot of the other Baba Studios decks, because they've been redone, different versions, and like Victoria Romantic, Bohemian Gothic, yeah, with the cold stamping and things like that. They get mentioned quite a bit, but some older decks don't, and this is one of them. Yeah.
It's a beautiful deck, really well done, beautiful colours.
Yeah, and if
We'll get to that.
if what?
I'm saying, but we'll get to that, I suppose. I'm jumping the gun.
That's all
Hey,
right.
Jax.
Oh, Jax, hello. And Cheryl's here. Hi, Cheryl. If just to say it as well, because if it's your first time here, Throwback Thursday is the idea behind it is Chris and I pull out a deck. We try and get it around the at least 3-year mark, so because it's the throwback, so nothing that's quite recent. That well, it's twofold really. One, to bring it back into the attention because everybody unboxes new decks and does walkthroughs and first impressions, myself included. And then very often we forget the older decks, so it's a way to bring them, give them a little bit more exposure. But the other side of it is we get to play with the decks, and like even for today, because I've played with this much, but it's going to be on my desk now for a week or so. So it helps us to also pull out decks from our collection that we might not have used for a while. So, and then, mention them. And I know when it's an out of print deck, it's a bit difficult because you might see it for the first time and really want it. They're not all out of print decks go for extortionate amounts. Sometimes you can really get lucky. I got lucky with Robert M. Place's Vampire Tarot. I got it for £30, and everybody was like, "How did you manage to get that?" Sometimes people don't know what they're selling, and you can pick them up. So don't be too disheartened because you never know, or you might even find it in an old charity shop somewhere. It could happen.
Never know.
Yeah.
I go into wee charity shops all the time, but I've yet to see like a wee dusty tarot deck lying on the shelf somewhere. But one of these days it will happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, my dream is to go into an old antique shop and find a Pame. I'm trying to bring, that cosmic order in where you try to keep focusing on it, and then one day It's going to happen.
One day you'll manifest it.
Yeah, there it will be on the shelf. All 78 cards, pristine.
Yeah.
One can hope. One can dream.
They can indeed.
Yeah. So, did you want to kick off?
Sure. So this deck was released in 2005. So that's quite long ago. As Simon
Yeah.
says, that's 18 years ago. So this deck's been around for a while. The artists for this deck, I had to look them up. So Irina Triskova and Alex Yukolov. And obviously the publisher, as we've said, is Baba Studios. The quality of production. So Simon's going to help me out here. I don't have the book, so Simon's going to talk about the book. But I've got the cards. I can talk about I can give you a wee size comparison, and I can talk a bit about the card stock. So here is a size comparison, and I'm just comparing, as you can see, to a good old Rider-Waite Smith. I can't seem to fit it onto the screen. Let's do it that way. So you can see that these cards are a bit bigger and a bit broader than your standard tarot size. The card stock's really interesting, right? Because it's very, very thin. Like Riffle Shuffler's Dream thin. But it doesn't feel flimsy, does it? Or would you disagree with me there? Like, I think this feels like quite nice cardstock. They just seem to have, I don't know, they just seem to have managed to make a good thin card tarot deck. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's often talked about Baba Studios decks being thin, and then they talk about the black core, and this doesn't have that. So for me, it's the only, because I love this deck, but it is the only thing is that it is so thin. And then if you compare it to what's this one, Tower of Prague. So this is Tower of Prague. This is the one that's, people say it's quite thin, but it's got that black core. It is so much thicker. This doesn't spring back like that does. It's quite thin. And
Yeah.
you know, when I asked Karen if she was gonna remake the deck, because I wanted her to remake it with this cardstock, you know, and because this is luxury, isn't it? The later decks, but sadly it's not to be. So, you know, it is what it is. But it is, for me, I just find it very, very thin. But then again, 18 years ago, we weren't bothered about cardstock and borderless and everything else. That's kind of a new phenomena, isn't it? That's sprung up, I think, on social media. So
yeah, that's true. I like it. I like a nice thin cardstock. Like, is it Llewellyn? Llewellyn cardstock is my favourite. Because I love to riffle shuffle my decks. So for me, it works. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone. But yeah, that's the kind of the card specs. My deck. So it was Simon that gifted me this, and it comes in like a themed tarot bag. But again, I'm not sure what the original packaging is like or anything with this deck. So this is what I'm going to throw over to Simon, and Simon will tell us a bit about that kind of stuff.
So that was the that was the compromise, because I'd got 2 decks and 1 book, and I couldn't part with the books. I thought, bag. That's, you know, but it just comes with a tuck box. again, you know,
Okay.
this is nearly 20 years ago, so I know if this was being released now, we'd get the nice sturdy clamshell box. It does come with a little. Did I send you a little white book
No, I don't have a little white book.
with the deck?
No.
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 Okay, I will send you the little white book then, because obviously I've got the book and the little white book. So you don't, and that's the thing with Baba Studios decks. You can buy a separate book to go with them, but they still give you the little white book. So this one does have, you know, all about fairy tale spreads and things like that. But the only thing about this is you get the cards and then you get the fairy tale, but you don't, as in the fairy tale title. So for instance, the Empress, it says Cinderella, but then it goes into keywords like Mother Nature, abundance, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the book gives you the full fairy tale. And what I really like about this book, I mean, it's the older version, so there's no color images like you get in Baba Studios books now. Is if I go to, I may as well use the Empress again, because so here you get quite a bit, but it will tell you the story and it will tell you the author of the story. So card 3, the Empress, is Cinderella, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, so the Grimm brothers. Household Tales, this summary based on, you know, and then it gives you a summary of it. But what I really liked about this is with the fairy tale tarot, there's the ones that perhaps we would be more familiar with, so like Rapunzel and Rumpelstiltskin and Cinderella and all that. But there are fairy tales from around the world as well. So there's some that I'd never even heard of. So it was great to, you know, be able to sit and read the story of the ones that, like the Sunchild, which is an African traditional tale for the sun. Then you go straight to the next card and it's Judgment, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Again, Grimm. So it's great for that. Page of Cups, Sadko, Russian traditional story. And then you can read the story, the fables, and then you get your card divination and meanings as well. So it's a great little book for that, because it is like having a book of fairy tales. You know, even if you didn't have the deck of cards, it would be great to have this, because you've just got your fairy tales there from all around the globe. Hans Christian Andersen, the Snow Queen. So, and then we've got Tatterhood, a Norwegian fairy tale. So it's really good book. I'm just sorry I only had one copy.
Don't worry, because I was going to say you don't need to worry about the little white book, because the cards actually have the
titles on them.
fairy tale on them, so they do. Google. Do you know what I mean? I can find most of them, if not all of them, on Google. You know,
But
I
if
can
you
find
want
an
it,
outline of the.
if you want it, you can have it, because I don't need both. I didn't realise that the card you had in the bag didn't have the little white book with it. Hi, Conrad.
Hey, Conrad, how you doing?
I don't riffle shuffle. The Witcher's Wisdom Tarot. I can't riffle shuffle anyway.
Oh,
Can
I like
you?
a wee challenge though, Conrad. I don't know. Let's find out. Sorry, don't mind me.
Fairy Tale Tarot by Lisa Hunt is nice. Yeah, that's just come back, hasn't it? I think I saw that on Kickstarter a few months ago. I'm sure, Sheila.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that too. Conrad, I can just about riffle shuffle it, yeah.
Beth said
But
The
it is
Witches,
very,
it's
very
notorious. No
subtle.
one really can. Well, yeah, you just did it, did you?
Yeah, you can kind of just about get it. Do you know what I mean? It's not the bendiest, but Yeah. I love to riffle shuffle my decks, so I can usually find a way.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, and then just to
Sorry,
finish
that
up
was a wee tangent.
that's all right. The book is 231 pages, so I really like it. Some you get a lot. So, like the Hanged Man, you've got all this page, those 2 pages, depending on the story, and another page there. So you've got like 4 full sides. The Tale of the Shifty Lad. I like the Tale of the Shifty Lad. That's the Hangman card.
Rachel Pollock does, like, is it the foreword or something she does? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a. I was going to read that. I'm glad you said on the back. Rachel says, "With art that is as precise as it is ornate, Magic Realist Press have united some of the world's most fascinating fairy tales with the symbolic yet story-like images of the tarot. There is a real marriage here, and not simply a cobbling together of different traditions. The pictures illuminate both the tales and the cards, but they do something more. They allow us to create new stories, new meanings, and that is certainly special." Yeah, so that's quite nice. And that again, that was written 18 years ago. So don't know if the forward. Oh yeah, and then she's wrote the forward. You can see there at the top. So there's quite a bit in there as well. Two pages. And then just the 10 of coins. You turn the page, and that's Rachel Pollock. So it says, "The girl who was too shy, 10 of coins, Rachel Pollock, once upon a time." So she's writing a story for one of them as well.
Oh, nice.
So that's cool. So that's the just say 10 of coins. Read that 10 of coins. There's the Queen of Coins. Knight. 10 of coins. The Goose Girl. The girl who was too. Oh, so there's an alternative story by Rachel, because 10 of coins is Goose Girl by the Grimm brothers. The brothers. I keep saying Grimm brothers. It's Brothers Grimm, isn't it? The Brothers Grimm. But Rachel's wrote a version as well called "The Girl Who Was Too Shy."
That's really nice.
Yeah, I'll have to read that. I've missed that. So yeah, that's the book.
Cool.
Oh, well done, Chris, says Conrad.
Yeah, I was taking a big drink of coffee and I saw Beth's comment and it kind of almost made me spit my coffee out. It made me chuckle. Right, so the next bit I suppose is how long I've had this. So you sent me this after our first live together, when we did catching up with.
Oh,
And that,
really?
that's coming up 3 years ago. So that is,
Wow.
yeah. That was at
Yeah.
the end of 2020, November 2020, I think it was.
Gosh. Yeah, I've put, I want to say 3, maybe 4 years that I've had the deck for. So that would be about right, because I had it a while before I sent you
Yeah,
the second copy.
yeah,
But yeah, gosh, can't believe it's 3 years since catching up with.
I know. I know, it's funny, isn't it? I
Yeah,
can't believe I've been on Tarot Tube for 3 years.
but it feels longer for me,
Yeah,
because I think, yeah, because you was part of the quarantine, weren't you? You and
yeah.
Richie, and that was 2020. And you were
Was
part of the
it though? Was that
quarantine.
not 2021 when we locked down again? No?
No, because I had to go back to work then, and I remember being off work doing. We
Um,
locked down first in March, and then I did Quarantine Stream on my own until about June, and then we went into the second lockdown around August, September time.
Right.
But then after that, when we went into the tiers and things, I had to go back to work. So,
Yeah.
ouch. But yeah, but you also appeared on other people's videos before lives before
No.
you started doing your own, didn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Robin's just said that. I used
Yeah.
to go live with Robin. Was it like once a month or something we did that, Robin? And then there was Lucian
Illusion.
and Dave as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I first
So,
saw you.
yeah. Yeah, that was the first time I'd ventured onto Tarot Tube, so it was.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. How do we work with the deck? For me, to be honest, I use it pretty much like a standard Smith Waite deck. So I do. I'll bring in the fairy tale if I think it adds to the reading, and if I know it, if it's one that I know. Um, but yeah, I kind of read it like I do any other deck, really. Um, I've never really used it for anything other than just like tarot. Like, I've never used it to try and like tell a story, like write a story or anything like that. Um, so yeah, I use it in the normal way. How do you use it, Simon?
Well, it's funny because I kind of like storytelling, but because they're all like stories within stories, do you know what I mean? If I've tried a few times to lay them out and see if there's a story merging, but particularly when you know some of the stories, like The Emperor's New Clothes or Rapunzel or something like that, and then I did find there was a bit of a juxtaposition with them, and I was like, ah. So to be honest, the way I've used this is mainly for one card pulls and then reading the story, even ones that I'm really familiar with because I wanted to see how they'd been translated in the book. So for
Yeah,
me, I haven't done big spreads with it or anything like that, but I have pulled cards and then read the story in them, and then thought about how that might, be answering the question that I've got at that particular time.
yeah,
But and the great thing about fairy tale decks for me is fairy tales always have a moral, don't they? That was the whole point of them, to teach children about ethics and morality and all that kind of stuff. So what I love about fairy tale decks is, there's always that little bit extra because there's a like I say, there's a moral to the story, which I
yeah,
find quite interesting in relation to the
yeah,
tarot.
yeah, definitely. And it's funny because the moral of a fairy tale, you don't normally, in my experience, you don't really see it until you get to the end. It's not until you're a good bit of the way through that you actually it clicks. And that quite often that's how a tarot reading is for me. I'll start laying out cards, and it's not until I'm like almost at the end of my spread or whatever it is that I'm doing that I'm like, oh right, okay, right, that's where we're going with this. Um, yeah, funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi,
but
Trisha.
yeah, how does everyone in the how do all you guys, if anyone's got this? I know that Sheila, you've said that you've got it. You've
Yeah,
had it for a
Sheila's
long
got it.
time. So how do you use it? Do you use it like a normal tarot deck? Do you use it a wee bit more for storytelling or do something a wee bit different? And anyone else that's got it, we're interested in, you know, what you guys do.
Robin says Aesop's fables were known for their morals. Some of the grim tales were hard pressed to deliver a clear moral. Yeah. Hans
Yeah.
Christian Andersen tended to have that, wasn't it Hans Christian Andersen that did the Ugly Duckling? Um, I think,
I'm not
so
sure.
for stories like that, um, and there's one in here, I'll show the card when I get to it, that always stuck in my mind that was by Oscar Wilde. But it's a different, I think in this, from what I remember in this one, it's a different version. But, the nightingale wanted to bring the young man a red rose to give to his sweetheart, and everywhere he went, there wasn't a red rose. One that did have red roses, there was a frost or something, and they'd all died. And sung that much that a thorn went into his chest, and the blood from his chest turned the rose red. And that's when they said that's how Robin gets a red breast. But I think in this one, it's a nightingale. But there's a moral there, you know, about sacrifice and everything else for love, but how other people's sacrifices aren't always seen, you know, or appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. True. It's interesting I think it was Robin that made the point about some of the, the gruesome Grimm Brothers tales. Well, actually, I'll wait because it's one of my favorite cards. So I'll talk about it when we start talking about favorite cards. But even at that, even without the clear moral side of it, like it's interesting how that plays into this card that I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Naomi says, what's some of your favorite fairy tales? I think Beauty and the Beast. I've always loved the story of Beauty and the Beast. What else? God, there's so many. There's so many I loved when I was a kid. I used to have the Ladybird books, the 1970s Ladybird books. I'd love to get them all again, but there's so many that I loved. But Beauty and the Beast was one of my favorite. I can still see the cover of the pot of the book. The reason I said pot is because the Magic Porridge pot also popped into my head. I love that one. But I love stories. Yeah. You could
I
lose
always
yourself in
loved
them.
Sleeping Beauty.
Did you?
Yeah, I really did. Like, it was one of my when I was proper wee boy, when I was a tot, it was one of my favorite films. I used to always love the baddies in films,
Yeah.
and Maleficent was like probably my all-time favorite when I was wee. Um, I remember my gran used to have this really old storybook, and it had like the Sleeping Beauty in it, but it was like kind of a different than the um like it was one of the she was one of the fairies. There was 4 fairies, and it was one of the fairies that was who's Maleficent in the film. Um, there's just something really cool about
Baddies.
I don't know. So I know, like completely just losing her shit because she wasn't invited to the christening, and
Yeah.
it all spins from there. Um, I don't know. It's
I
really
used
good.
to think there was something wrong with me as a kid because I always wanted Coyote to get Roadrunner. I used to feel really frustrated when it used to end and Coyote was foiled again. I'm like, why can't Coyote just catch him? Weird kid. Hey, do you know, it's funny you mentioned Sleeping Beauty. Here's a question for you. What does the Wicked Witch or stepmother, whatever she was, say when she looks into the mirror?
And Snow
About,
White? Are we talking Snow White? Sorry.
was it Snow White? See, I
Yeah.
don't. The one with the apple. Didn't she
Yeah,
bite
that's
an
Snow
apple
White.
and fall asleep?
Snow White. Yeah, that's
Oh,
Snow
is that
White.
not the same as Sleeping Beauty?
No, so Sleeping Beauty, the Sleeping Beauty's the spindle on the spinning wheel.
Oh, where she,
Snow White
yeah, where
eats
she
the
picks the
apple.
finger. All right.
Um, so was that a joke? Are you telling me a joke, or are you asking me
No,
a
I can't.
serious question?
What was it that she says when she looks in the mirror about being the
She says,
fairest?
magic was it magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Yeah, and I always thought it was mirror, mirror on the wall, and then I was told that that's a Mandela. No, it's a Mandela. Sorry, Mandela effect. And there's loads of them, and I'm like, no, it's mirror, mirror, but it's not. It's magic mirror. See, you knew. I didn't.
Well,
Yeah,
the
see, Robin's even put it, look, mirror, mirror on the wall, but she never say it's a Mandela effect where a huge chunk of society believes something that's not true, that's not real. Yeah, and Indigo says it as well, but you Google it, it's never said. It's like the do you remember the chocolate bar? You're too young. Blue. It was like a wafer chocolate bar.
Oh, blue ribbon.
Yeah, blue ribboned, but everybody says blue ribbon. See, the Mandela effect doesn't work on you.
You've probably just found the only two examples where I've not fallen for it because honestly, I fall for all of that stuff.
Yeah, and Queen, We Are the Champions. What's the last line of the song?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know the song that well. We are the champions of the world.
Yeah, everybody sings that. We are the of the world. It's not. It just stops with "We are the champions," and it's because on the Live Aid show, he sings "of the world" at the end. That's the only time he ever sung it. So if you listen to the song, it just stops. "We are the champions," and I was like, "No, don't believe it. I've got to listen to it." Anyway, we're
See
going down the
in
right
the
rabbit
I
hole.
know we are, but now I need to ask the question. See in the earlier verses, does he not say of the world?
Yeah, in the middle of the song, but everybody thinks he
Right.
finishes the song with "of the
That's
world." And he
yeah.
only did
That's
that at
where I'm
Live
at.
Aid that one time.
Okay.
I'm shocking at this game. There's hundreds of them. I'm like, Dorothy, I guess we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. She doesn't say it. And I'm like, it messes with my head. But anyway, Google the Mandela effect. It's a
Right. I'll
thing.
look it
It's a
up.
real thing. Anyway, back to Throwback Thursday. So we better talk about the cards, haven't we?
Yeah, we'll go through. Oh, I never asked you before we started. How many favourites have you got?
So I've got 7 favourite majors and 11 minors,
Jeez,
but
I think I've
I
only
can
got.
drop that back.
You don't need to drop it back, but we can maybe just do it where you do a couple, then I'll do one, then you do a couple, then I'll do one, and we'll try and thing it.
How
I've
many
only
have
got
you got?
14 in total.
14. Okay,
I'll say
14,
this,
19.
lots of mine are from the swords suit. I love the swords suit in this deck.
I have 3 from the sword suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But do you know what I find really interesting is every time we do this, though, we seem to have different cards, don't we? Which means sometimes there's an odd one or two, but it means that people are watching get to see more cards because we have different
True.
ones.
Do you want to kick off then? And I'll join in. I'll join you if I do have the same card as you.
Okay. Just to say about the cards as well, these are the backs, which are I really like Baba Studio card backs anyway. They always have nice, classy ones, but it's like a metallic. The gold feels like a metallic gold, really nice pale blue border. And then on the front, they've got this beautiful ornate. So you've got this scroll at the bottom, which is like an old scroll, and then you've got 2 cherubs either side at the ends of the scroll, and then at the top you've got a lion that's kind of peering over the top of the frame, and that's the same on every card. So that's a little bit about the design. But my first favorite one is the Magician. I just really love and then this is the storyteller at fault. And I think this was something to do with he was employed by a king or an emperor to tell a different story each day, and he got to the point one day where he'd got no stories left, and so he went out, amongst the animals, amongst nature, and saw the magic all around, and then he was inspired to tell a story, because there's always a story if we look for it. So I take it the magician wasn't one of your favourites.
No, he wasn't. No. Do you want to do another one, Simon?
I'll do another one then. So my next one is the Emperor. This is an epic scene. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm trying to get it where there's no light on it. Now this story is the Emperor and the Nightingale, and it's a Chinese emperor, as you can see here. Looks very much like Emperor Ming from Flash Gordon, doesn't he? But a Chinese emperor, and I'm trying to remember the story. There's a nightingale that used to come and sing him a song every day, and he absolutely loved the song of the nightingale. So in everybody in the courtier and the palace knew about this favorite nightingale of the emperor that used to come and sing a song. And then one day he was gifted an artificial nightingale that was all bejeweled and just beautiful to look at, but it was clockwork. And he fell in love with it, and he would wind it up and it'd sing beautifully. And then over time, the nightingale gave up trying to impress the emperor and just flew away. But then, of course, the mechanical nightingale broke. So, and they tried to fix it, and it was so delicate they could only play it like once a month or something. Once a year, I think the fable is. You could only play it once a year. And then on his deathbed, when death come to collect him, the nightingale returns and sings a song, kind of like a final song, and returned every day because he saw how the emperor responded to that song. He came every day until the emperor got well again and death disappeared. And the moral of the story is, we can be seduced by jewels and beauty, but actually we have to remember, what's real, and how the nightingale came back when he was dying.
Quite a strange story for the Emperor card, isn't it?
Yeah.
My first favourite is actually the Empress, Cinderella. And this is kind of what I was talking about. So obviously we're seeing the image of the fairy godmother here. That kind of a matriarch, that maternal figure, that nurturing figure that basically takes Cinderella from the position that she's in and, makes her up and lets her go to the ball. There's lots of kind of a magic that happens and stuff. So that we get that from obviously that nurturing energy is, for me anyway, what the Empress is all about. And we get that from Cinderella. But if you think about what happens when, like, the Empress is in shadow, or when it's reversed, if you do reversals, it's quite a different story. And that's where the think of the Cinderella story, the wicked stepmother. Think of, in particular, the gruesome Brothers Grimm version, where they end up, they have to like chop off parts of their feet in order to try and fit them into the glass slipper. Very, very different kind of like maternal energy there. And we get both of those extremes in the Cinderella story. So I think that was perfect for the Empress. And it's a nice, colourful, beautiful image as well on the card.
And that's what's really stunning about this deck is the colours. They're really vibrant, aren't they? Really beautiful. Yeah. And yeah, Empress is one of mine too, so snap.
Oh.
That's one of the 7.
Yeah, there's lots of cards that I've picked purely because of the images, purely for the aesthetics. So I'll say that right now, right from the off.
But what I really, and I'm the same, what I really like though is some of the images that you see here, it are just like you'd find in a fairy tale book, aren't they? The really nice quality fairy tale books that you get. They do look like they've just been taken from the pages of those. So, and then my next one is the strength card, which is Beauty and the Beast. Really like this. But you know what? Isn't that a handsome beast? Have you got the same?
Yeah,
And
that
I'm
was my
like,
next one too.
you know, the beast is normally really ugly because that's the purpose, beauty and the beast. But how that's superficial, you know, that's the moral of that story, isn't it? You know, you can fall in love. It doesn't matter what somebody looks like or what differences there are or anything like that. But I really love this. But yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
He
Have
doesn't
you
look
seen
very
the film?
beastly.
I know, you're right. Have you seen the film? It's based on Beauty and the Beast. It's called Beastly. So it's got
Beastly.
one of the Olsen twins. It's got, oh gosh, who's the guy that's in it? Help me out, folks. It's not Alex Pettifer, is it?
I haven't
It's
seen it
got
or heard of it.
it's got that Vanessa girl who was in High School Musical. Or at least I think it's her. But anyway, it's pretty much the same story. He's very superficial. He's you know, quite a toxic person, all about looks. Doesn't care about what the deeper things. All he cares about is how people look, and that's how he judges people. And then one of the Olsen twins, she plays like a witch in it, and she curses him to basically be as ugly on the outside as he is on the inside. And yeah, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I'll put it that way. But
So
it's an interesting.
in that film, then he's ugly on the inside as well as the outside.
So he starts off just like Beauty and the Beast. He starts off being, you know, beautiful on the outside. He's a very handsome man as the actor. Uh, but he's toxic on the inside. He's not a nice person at all. And she curses him to be as ugly on the outside as he is on the inside. Um, and he's got to, you know, he's got to have someone fall in love with him. Otherwise, I think he's got a year or something. Uh, Otherwise, he'll stay that way forever.
See, in my Ladybird book, it was one of my favourites. I think it was a different story. It was about a man that was on his way home riding a horse, and he was about to be killed and attacked by the beast, and he promises if he spares him his life, he'll give him his daughter. And
Right.
that's how that story went. So when I watched Beauty and the Beast, and when it came out in the 90s before the film version, the animation version, I was like, this isn't the story.
Aye. It's a strange story for the strength card, I have to say, because to me the moral of Beauty and the Beast is about not being superficial. Do you know what I mean? It's about learning to appreciate, you know, what's in someone's heart rather than, you know, the just what's on the surface. Um, I suppose there's hints of that in the strength card for me, but it's not really what I think of as being the core.
So just to give you, because like I said, you get the story, the fairy tale, then you get your keywords, then you get an explanation as to why. So I won't read it all, but it just says Beauty is the gentlest person in this story, and yet she's also the strongest. In many ways, she is the classic fool of fairy tale, the youngest child who bows to her father's bidding, whatever the apparent cost. But she also shows herself to be brave, insightful, and perhaps most of all, loving and compassionate. She has the ability to see humanity beneath the skin of the beast, the kind and sad creature under the frightening appearance. And it goes on and tells you more. But I suppose when we think of like the Rider-Waite Smith with a fair maiden with an actual beast, I think I get where she's perhaps coming from. Is she trying to force his jaw open? I don't think she is she? No, she's cupping his face.
Yeah. She's lovingly touching his face. Forcing his
Yeah.
jaw open comes later, Simon.
Now.
Right, what's your next card?
My next card is the Hanged Man. Really look. I mean, when I first saw it, it's quite comical, but this is the Shifty Lad. And the Shifty Lad story is about this young boy being brought up by his mother. She wants him to learn a trade. He wants to be a thief, and she always says to him that if you take that path, then you'll be hanged from the bridge of Dublin. And that's what this. I just thought it was a really cool version of the Hangman, the Shifty Lad. But again, it's
That is
very
quite cool.
fairy tale with all the hats and in those fairy tale books, they always have those hats, don't they, with like the long cloth kind of.
Yeah, that is quite cool. I suppose the Hanged Man was originally thought to be like it was a punishment for traitors, wasn't it?
One
Keeping them
version,
upside
yeah.
down by the foot.
Then there's the old Odin thing, isn't there? And
Yeah.
there's lots of different, and then very much sort of not as a punishment at all, just looking at the world from a different viewpoint.
Yeah. My next one, I skip a fair bit.
I think we all have, Robin.
Yeah.
Less said.
Yeah, the less said, the better. So I skipped to the moon here. The moon's my next favourite one. And to be honest, I just love the image. I love the dulled down lighting. The actual image of the moon and the reflection on the water is really nice, but this is purely aesthetics. I don't know the story of the Nixie. So it's nothing to do with like the story or anything like that.
Yeah. And that's similar to me for I've got death. I just love this image. I like the image of death, but I also like the expression on the culprit's kind of face. But yeah, and that's from Godfather Death, which I'm not that familiar with, to be honest. But I just love the image of that card. Have you got any more majors?
No, I don't actually. I'm moving to the minors now.
Okay, I've just got one more, which is the Red Shoes card, which is the Devil card. Again, I just really like the image. And again, the colours, the dress and everything just really pops, but it's a cool card.
Bye, Heather. Heather's got to run.
Okay, see you, Heather. Which suit are you starting with?
We can do them whatever order you want. You
I
choose.
don't mind. Cups then first.
Sure. I've got 2 cups cards.
Okay.
So how have I got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get 11 cards left.
Oh, me too. I've got 11 minors.
Okay, there we go. We'll go. Right, so my first one is the 10 of Cups. The happy family, and I think this is just this is just aesthetics. I think this is just a nice image. I like the artwork, and I like the idea that it's this wee family of snails. It's kind of hard to. I like it when the 10 of Cups isn't like your standard nuclear family. It's nice to see different families being represented there, and what better than a family of wee snails. So yeah, I like this card.
When I saw that card earlier, it reminds me of James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah,
I love that as a kid, but you know how all the characters like the ladybird and all that, it just reminded me of that.
yeah,
Mine is my first one is the Ace because it's the Ugly Duckling, which I've always loved that story and
yeah.
the song. But yeah, I just think it's beautiful as well. It's beautiful swan, so it's showing the Ugly Duckling, even though it says the Ugly Duckling, it's showing what it becomes.
I've just seen Robin's comment. Just you hang fire, Robin. Maybe you'll be surprised. Um, my next one is the King of Cups. Um, I've always thought of the King of Cups as being like an advisor, a diplomat, negotiator. He's the kind of a person that you go to if there's a problem, a people type problem that needs to be solved. They're always they're always really tactful and they've always got some kind of a way to diffuse a situation or deal with it. Um, so it's really nice for a change to see two people in the King of Cups. You usually don't often see two people in any of the court cards and decks. Um, but it's nice to see that kind of a exchange, almost see that exchange happening in the card. So that's kind of a why I like this. It's a beautiful card as well, you know, again, the colours, lovely. But that's kind of what draws me to this card.
Yeah. Sorry, Kathy just made me smile with the quack get out of town. It's earworming now in my head, that song. I'll be going to bed singing that song. Mine is the next one is the 4. And this is the boy who wanted to learn fear. But I love this. There was 2 brothers. One was very courageous, and the other one was quite timid and fearful. And he's seen him shudder one day, and he didn't know what that was, you know, and he wanted to experience shuddering. And so he took himself off into a haunted house, and then all these kind of ghouls and demons appeared to him to try and make him shudder.
Mhm.
But I just love the image because it's quite dim because it's in the middle of the night in this house, and then you've got all these kind of demonic creatures appearing.
Yeah. It's funny because they're supposed to be demonic, but they just look like cats and dogs to me, so they do. Um, they look like cats and dogs pulling funny faces.
Even though they've got horns and things.
Oh, do they? See, I can't see
Like,
that. They just look like ears to me. Oh yeah.
but yeah, nice little here, kitty kitty.
Yeah. I'm on to the wands next. Are we doing wands next? Is that your
Can
usual
do.
order?
I've got one more cups for this one, so this is where we might go out of kilter a bit. But
On you go. Finish
it's
the cups then.
the 6, and it's Hansel and Gretel, and I just think it's a really beautiful 6 of cups. It's quite RWS, isn't it? As well, with looking at the flowers but yeah, I just think it's a
Yeah.
gorgeous image.
Nice.
So what are we doing next? Wands. Oh,
Yeah.
I am wands next.
So I've got a couple of wands cards. I like the 7 of wands. So the 7 of wands is usually the kind of the guy who's got the high ground and he's fending off um all of the wands coming from below. But this is a wee bit different because this is like um the kids and I think this is a wolf that's trying to get in. Um so yeah, it's a bit different, but I like the image again. It's just the image, the aesthetics for me with this one.
And I think that's going to be the theme of this deck, isn't it? Because again, when I was looking at it earlier and trying to choose my favorites, there's so many because the images are so great.
Yeah.
mine's the Ace, but purely because, again, when I had my childhood books, the Ladybird books, there was always something like in the corner that I would notice about it, and then years later when you pick it up and you see it again, and this is the Ace, which is Jack and the Beanstalk, but what I home in on is that oh shit kind of chicken just running away, like scarpering, with the other one is like,
Yeah.
well, what's that? And the expression of his mum, the next morning when he gets up and he sees what's happened to his beans, and we've got this huge beanstalk. But it's just like the comedy chicken in the background. It's not even touching the ground, look. But little things like that I used to spot in like
Scooby-Doo run.
in my books. Yeah. And then, if I see that years later, it's like, oh gosh, I remember that.
My next one, Robin, are you ready? The Ten of Wands, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. And I picked this because I think the story's perfect. I love the story of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I've watched the Mickey Mouse short. They also do there's a film called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and they do look at one of the scenes. Have you seen it? One of the scenes is based on this.
In Fantasia.
Sorry, yeah. So, and like Fantasia is the Mickey Mouse type thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there's a film. It's got Nicolas Cage in it. It's not quite recent, but early 2000s, I think. Called The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's got Nicolas Cage. I forget the name of the main guy in it. But it's a really good film. I really enjoy it. But it's one of the scenes is when he tries to get the mops and the brushes and the buckets and all that to clean up themselves, and it all gets out of hand. So yeah, I think it's perfect for the Ten of Wands, and again, it's still a really nice image.
At least that's taken away that old song now, because now I've got the Fantasia Sorcerer's Apprentice. Yeah. They used that for Alton Towers as well as an advert years ago. But anyway, I've got Two of Wands, which is the Billy Goat's Gruff. But just look at that troll. I just think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Not scary at all.
The Two of Wands, that is.
Two of Wands, the Billy Goat's Gruff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
An interesting image for the Two of Wands.
I could look in the book and see why, but
we'll be here all night, won't we?
Yeah.
I don't have any more wands, so if you've got any more, finish up.
I've got one which it's just funny. It's the Emperor's New Clothes. But look how tiny he is. It's like Danny DeVito in playing the part of the Emperor. But it's interesting how it's a suit, isn't it, that he's wearing, like a bodysuit, because of his feet underneath.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it just makes me chuckle, that image.
Yeah.
So that's my one that's done.
Cool. Right, swords then. Oh, I'm flinging cards.
I've got swords next.
So I've only got 1 coins actually, so I've got a fair few swords. So I'm starting off with the Ace of Swords. I love this one because I've always loved the Hydra as the dragon who you cut off one of its heads and to grow back. So yeah, I think this is a stunning card. I really like this. And I suppose when you think about swords, how swords represents like communication and words and stuff, and I think words and communication and messages can be a wee bit like that sometimes, like where they just get out of hand, it does sometimes feel like you try and deal with something, you try and cut off one head and then two grow in its place. So yeah, I think this is a cool image for the Ace of Swords.
I've already mentioned this one, but I just love it, which is the Three of Swords, the Nightingale and the Rose. So you can see the thorn that's piercing the chest, and it's turning the rose this blood red.
Yeah.
And he's kind of oblivious, completely oblivious to the sacrifice that's being made.
Yeah.
And I know this story, but I never knew that it was Oscar Wilde that
Okay.
wrote it.
Yeah. That was one of mine as well. So Three of Swords. My next one is the Five of Swords. Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, it's just it's just the kind of a gratuitous violence of it, isn't it? It's the unnecessary cruelty, I guess, in the story. That I think makes it perfect for the Five of Swords. So yeah, that's a cool one. I almost feel as though I'm in two minds about whether this would have been a better Seven of Swords, because the disguise element to it, the dishonesty part of it. But yeah, I still love it. I still love the card.
Yeah. So that was one of mine as well. That's why I shared
Yeah.
it with you.
Oh, nice. Nice. The next one I've got is the Ten of Swords. And yeah, it's the kind of a ballerina. So it is. So there's obviously the whole place is up in smoke. There's flames. There's smoke. You know, everything's kind of coming down around about them. But she's just kind of It looks as though she's just continuing on, pretending that nothing's happening. And when we are in those Ten of Swords moments, sometimes the reason that we get locked in them for so long is because we kind of deny what's going on around about us. We kind of almost pull the wool over our own eyes, and we kind of block ourselves off from being able to deal with the shit that's going down, but also being able to appreciate the opportunities that rising sun we usually see in the Ten of Swords. So yeah, I kind of I'm not sure if that's the idea, because again, this isn't a story that I'm familiar with, but um, that kind of the image just spoke to me, I guess.
Yeah. My final one in the swords is the Eight of Swords, which is Rapunzel. And at first I thought, oh, that would make a cool tower card, actually,
Mm.
But no, when you think of the Eight of Swords and the kind of imprisonment, and of course it's imprisonment of the mind because it's the swords. But I just thought, yeah, that's a really good fairy tale to add to the Eight of Swords, because
Yeah.
whilst it might not necessarily be a way out for her by letting down her long hair, and therefore it would eventually lead to her escaping. But yeah, so I just thought it was really cool. I'm trying to get it where there's no light on it, but it's a reflection from the actual laptop screen. I also really love the perspective of this card. We're looking from the top of the tower down.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your long hair.
That's nice. I've got two swords cards left. So one is the page. This page of swords just looks like a bit of a drama queen to me. Again, I don't know the story, so I'm not sure if that's the intention behind the image, but I just love this idea of the Page of Swords being this dramatic kind of a character, who just kind of dramatizes everything. Because when I think about it, if I take that, is the drama queen an archetype? Can we call that an archetype? But when we take
Yeah,
that personality, when I think about how that fits into the courts, it's got lots of Page of Swords in it. Um, so yeah, I think this is great. Um, the last sword card that I've got is Bluebeard and the Knight of Swords. And I actually love this card because I didn't know the story of Bluebeard before I got this deck, and this made me kind of a look it up. This always reminds me of Candy, from Candy Soul and Soil, the YouTube channel, because Candy's an artist and she did a beautiful art piece based on Bluebeard. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely stunning. So that always reminds me of art. But I looked up the story of Bluebeard, and it's this kind of he's this quite horrific guy who he's a murderer, and he kind of marries all these women, and then it's not very nice. But I was like, what's that got to do with the Knight of Swords? And it almost brings in like a kind of a toxic masculinity element to the Knight of Swords, which is interesting to me because it brings in something that I might not necessarily have read into the cards just if it was a standard knight or like a traditional Knight of Swords. So I like it when a deck does that. I like it when it makes me think of a card in a different way. So, and I suppose it's the same when I'm talking about the Page of Swords. Like that brings in the drama queen element to the page. This brings toxic masculinity into the Knight of Swords, which again it makes sense, you know. When you think about toxic masculinity, that Knight of Swords energy, that mansplaining energy, it is very Knight of Swords. So yeah, that was why I picked that one.
cool. I've just got 2 coin cards. How many have you got left, Chris?
I've got the one. So would you want to do one? Then I'll do this, and then you can
Yeah,
finish us up.
yeah. Again, this one is more just because I really love the image, but it's the 7 of coins, and it's the tailor, the brave little tailor. But I love this ogre and the way the ogre is depicted. There's something about this image that just took me back to my childhood. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I've got the knight, Gawain and the Green Knight. I can't. Do you know what? I forget what the specifics are of the story of Gawain and the Green Knight. Um, but yeah, I want to say that the Green Knight basically challenges Arthur. He might challenge the king.
He looks like the Green
And
Man, doesn't he?
yeah, yeah, he does. Um, but I think that Gawain maybe takes his place or something. So it kind of just um like honor and duty and all that kind of a stuff. And your Knight of Coins to me is your kind of a like your I don't know, you're maybe like your gentleman who's holding doors open for people, or you know that kind of that old fashioned sense of like honor that people in those times might have had. Um, traditional kind of a values and stuff. Um, and again, yeah, the image is really cool. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was my pick.
it is. It's the Jack and the Green Knight, and it's linked to King Arthur, like you said. And then my final one is the Elves and the Shoemaker, which is the 8 of coins, which is pretty apt. And again, you know, when you think of the 8 of coins, I love the shoemaker and his wife peering around. You know, and they got up in the middle of the night and saw them for the first time as to how the shoes were being made. But I just think it's a brilliant image.
Yeah.
and quite good for the 8 coins. And then, don't know if yours, mine had this extra card as well, which is just like a pattern design, and then you get the
Yeah.
title card, don't you?
Yeah, I've got that one.
Yeah. And I think they've done that a few times, Baba Studios.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favourite story. What's that, Naomi? I Was in the Shoemaker, or the one that Chris was talking about with the Green Knight?
I'm going to guess it'll be Elves and the Shoemaker that Naomi's talking about. Overall impressions, Simon?
I love it. I really love it. It's a deck that I will never ever let go of. Not just because it's out of print and hard to get now. I think the artwork is absolutely stunning, and it would have been so easy to give them like a modern take. But I think they just really remind me of my childhood fairy tale books. So for me, it's like going back to my childhood when I see these. I love it because it's not just the familiar ones. There's, like I said, there's different ones from all around the world. The only thing I would change about this is the cardstock. Just because I wish it was just a little bit thinner, because I do worry about, you know, something it bending and being out of shape because it doesn't have that core. But yeah, and the colors are just beautiful. It's a rich, beautiful deck. I just wish they would release it in a new version. I don't want them to change the artwork like they're doing with Bohemian Cats, but you know, just a better quality packaging and everything else. But yeah, it's gorgeous. I wouldn't hesitate, you know, at all if they suddenly announced they was doing it. I'd be straight there, pre-ordering. It's one of my favourites of theirs. I've got a lot of their decks, but this one is one of my favourites, if not the favourite. Your overall impressions?
Yeah, for me, I agree. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. Exquisite is probably the word that I would use. It feels like really refined and like a really well done deck. You know, it feels like there's lots of work that's gone into creating it. Like just the very intricate detailed and stuff. Like I'm not usually a borders guy. Normally, I love borderless cards, but the borders in this just feel very kind of really beautiful. Everything fits in really well. And like you say, the backs as well, they're just stunning. And just the concept in general of, you know, linking the cards to stories, I think is really clever, and it's one that we've seen done again. Um, and but this was the first deck that I knew of that did it, and I think they've done a really good job of it. I suppose in that vein, just I suppose it's the same for me. It's the same with any themed deck. It does need a wee bit more work um, on my part if I want to use it, you know, to its fullest. If I want to use it properly, that's not. I don't mean that as a negative. I suppose it's just something to be aware of if you were going to get it. Um, So for me, if when I'm using this, ideally I want to kind of know not just what the Knight of Coins means, but I want to know what the story of Gawain and the Green Knight is, and then I want to sit and think about and like kind of a brainstorm about how did the two link together and all that kind of a thing. So to do that for all 78 cards, can be quite a deep process. Um, so that's just something that, but this is not doesn't just come with like fairy tale themed decks. You know, I've got the Orisha tarot that's based on the
Yeah.
the Orisha tradition. It's the same with that. The mythic tarot, based on like Greek stories and stuff. Same with that. You know, any themed tarot deck is something that naturally comes with it.
Yeah, no,
So
I
yeah,
agree.
those were my thoughts.
I was going to say, like, decks like the Golden Girls tarot, that you can't. You're so used to the characters or the images, and then you're linking them. And sometimes I know there's a couple of cards there. You're like, that's strange to represent that. And the same with decks like Golden Girls. I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
what I was going to say is, when you said it feels like a really quality deck, and again, I was talking to Karen just recently because we were having a chat about counterfeiting and things. All of their decks, minimum 2 years to produce. And you can really tell the quality, you know, when you get a Baba Studios deck, and why. And that's like, I think that was her shortest one period, was like 2 years. So, and the Bohemian Cats was announced. They started working on that through COVID, you know, dressing, making it, could they make all the outfits to put on them and all that sort of thing. And that's going to be like something like a 5-year project. So they don't rush, you know, to get decks out. They're not banging them out, you know, because they take the time to give us a quality product. So, and that really comes through again, even in this deck from 18 years ago. So yeah.
Cool.
Robin says, are all the fairy tales told in the book? They are, Robin. You might not have been here at the beginning, but yeah, you get quite a lot of information. So just looking at this one, the Hanged Man, there's like the whole fairy tale, about 4 pages. And then you get some keywords and phrases, and then you get how that fairy tale, how it's linked to that archetype, that tarot card. So it's really worth getting if you can get hold of a copy. Yeah, 18 years. Yeah, 2005. So next month will be in November.
Well,
So what will that date be?
I want to say it's the 2nd, because my birthday's the 1st, and I'm sure that my birthday's on the Wednesday. Yeah, so the 2nd of November will be the first Thursday.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, there'll be lots of fireworks and things going off.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
it's the week, few days leading up to Guy Fawkes night, isn't it?
Yeah. Guy Fawkes on Sunday this year.
Do you want to say what deck we're going to be doing?
Sure. So we're going to be doing the good old porn stash deck, the Morgan Greer Tarot.
Proper classic.
Yeah, a good old fashioned. I think this was the 70s, wasn't it? So yeah, this will be a proper throwback, won't it?
Yeah, it will. Cool. Well,
Great.
thank you again, Chris, for doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you as well. It's been great as always.
Thank you to everybody that's been here, and I've enjoyed reading your comments and your thoughts on the deck too. So
yeah, folks, thanks for popping in. It's been lovely seeing everyone.
Have you got anything coming up, Chris, that you want to share?
I don't really have anything. I don't think nothing major coming up. Not on my channel anyway. So yeah, and we'll just see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll make a wee video. Maybe I'll pop up on your on thingy now. At some point, because I keep saying I'm going to make a video and then I don't. But I'm just in a wee bit of a phase like that just now.
Yeah. Have you got any more paintings coming up? They're always fun.
Don't know. I could do one. There's no reason why I can't. There's maybe one or two that I've got in my head that I would like to paint. So definitely do another one soon. I'm not quite sure when. Maybe a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool.
What
Brilliant.
about you? Have you got anything coming up?
don't think so. I mean, there'll be a couple of catch-up cards on Saturday. I am going on another trip. So I did a vlog at the Pendle Witches a couple of weekends ago, and
Nice.
the three of us are going somewhere. I'm not going to say where yet, just in case it doesn't happen. Like if we get the dreaded Ofsted or something like that call coming in, but yeah. So in 2 weekends' time, we're going on another trip. So I'm going to be doing another vlog there. I still have to check out Satan Simon's new devil pen. Halloween or birthday stuff. Yeah, that's true.
Liz's other comment.
Uh,
I'm saying look at Liz's other comment as well.
and it's so brave of Chris to work with Satan this close to Halloween. Who was it the other day? Somebody said, oh, it was Giselle, my big sis Giselle from Madwitch. Calla left a comment about me being Satan on my fountain pen video, and she's like, why are you being called Satan? So I had to explain to her why I'm being called Satan. So yeah, and then Robin said about birthday. Yeah, so I've got a birthday next weekend. So if I get decks, then I'll obviously do something during that weekend. Yeah,
nice.
birthday on a Sunday. We're going out for Sunday, a Sunday meal with some friends, so that'll be good too. But yeah.
Good. I hope you enjoy it.
All right. So good night, everyone, and thank you for watching. And
Bye, everyone.
we'll see you soon. We don't have a out video, do we? We still haven't sorted that out, have we? But never mind. See you soon, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.